This year, particularly in this week leading up to this evening, I have been struck in my social networking stories about how many people want to correct the way we tell the Christmas story. Now, admittedly, my social networking feeds are full of clergy and church nerds, so that may not be the case for you. But perhaps it's trickled in. You know maybe what I talk about. There's generally two camps of stories that go round. The first are what I would call the single story advocates. I know them well because usually I am one. They get annoyed at the average Christmas Eve story, card, or nativity scene because it mixes up the gospel accounts of the story into some fictitious blend of them all. Luke has census, shepherds, and angels. Matthew had doubting Joseph, Herod, and the Magi. Luke is off somewhere else cosmically seeing a totally different thing. John is. These folks want to remind us, belong together, as if we can meld them into one single saccharine, pastel-painted figurine. And then there are the Jesus wasn't born in a stable crowd. Some of you are about to get very upset. Jesus was probably not born in a stable. Because I agree with both of these arguments, and this argument uses sound exegesis, that's translation from the original text, and good historical knowledge of turn of the millennium Palestine to point out that how the story probably meant to be told to us from Luke's account is that Joseph, sent to his ancestral home of Bethlehem, knocks on an old family member's house. They open it. He says, "Hey, I'm Joseph, son of Matt, son of Levi." And they go, "Oh, yes, I remember your grandfather. Come in, come in. We, however, have all the rest of your family already staying in our guest rooms," which we translated as inns. "So you're going to have to stay in the common area," which in first century Palestine would quite likely have had a manger, because back then in the evening you might bring your most vulnerable animals into the ground floor of the house to protect them from the cold and the dark. There is no, in this story, angry innkeeper refusing hospitality, or Jesus born amongst animals while shunned among human beings. Both these complaints with the ways we mash our story, thanks to medieval artists, are good readings of Scripture. I enjoy them because they're well-formed arguments and are historically informed readings, but there's something about it that they miss. Especially when they're formed as rebukes or holier-than-thou moments, as if one of us might tell the story right and others are telling the story wrong. We are trying to take divergent witness statements from authors who weren't there to reconstruct a scene and focus solely on the background matters. This story is not about what structure the child will be born in. The story is not about what place and what time the Savior will come to us. The story is not told about our human storytelling abilities or how accurately we can construct the picture, no matter how we tell the story. It's about a small tribe of a small country giving birth to a small child out of a strange family system that has been upended from their home by the machinations of kings. The story is not about our words. It isn't Matthew's conflict of kings, nor Luke's pasture-side pageant. He so beautifully writes across the movie screen of our minds. It isn't even simply John's cosmic creation story. It is more rightly the thread that runs between them all. The threads bound by these multiple words like the swaddled clothes over an infant child. Because the story most simply is about the Word made flesh. It's not about us. It's not even about God. It's about God's great intention to meet us. It's about the meeting of these two in a way that we could never have imagined possible. What makes this story so different from any other is not its location or its characters, its welcome or its lack thereof. It's the incarnation. It's the love of God made manifest in an infant child. Not a demigod, not a fully formed, most powerful version of humanity, but an utterly vulnerable, completely tangible child. A displaced infant of questionable parentage is God with us. A radical claim of presence and vulnerability that overturns what we imagine power means, that overturns what we imagine God means. God is here. God is acting. God is taking an active role in our story. Heaven flipping upside down with earth. Because in this story, God is now dependent on human parents to care for God. God's very being is at risk before the kings of this world. God's Son is both pawn and Prince of Peace at the same time. The perfect and unimaginable meeting of heaven and earth. Creation turned upside down from all that we want it to be, to redefine for us what power is and what is possible when God says, I love you so much, I will put everything I am at risk that you would know it's true. God is mortal flesh living and dwelling among us because God wanted it that way. Because God risked it all, even God's own life, to be in utter solidarity with all creation, drawing in through story and stories the most vulnerable of us, that we might all sit in the family room around the manger. It matters not if you're here in a cathedral or a well-worn couch on your living room. It does not matter if you got here by beckoning star or the command of angels. It does not matter if you came here fearful or penitent. It does not matter if you came here interrupted at work in a nearby field, or if you ended up in the story because it knocked on your door when your not slightly remembered, not particularly desired old family member showed up. What matters is that through all these varying machinations and words, we came to stand before the Word. Love, born anew. Stardust filling the skies and angel wings producing the soundtrack to a story whose intent is to let you know that in the most unexpected of times and the darkest of places and in the strangest of ways, love has come to light the way to a world of heaven made flesh in earth. We are not alone. God is with us. What then? Who then could be against us? And this story, this great story that draws us in from all our walks of life, is planted then in our hearts. How could we ever be the same after we experience this story, if anything like right? When you have been visited by the awesome power of the divine in the porcelain fragility of a child placed in your care, how can that not change us? We who have greeted God with wonder in our eyes go out with the miraculous on our lips as we make known what we have seen and heard, as we make manifest in our life the light of the world that we have been gathered around, telling the story, right or wrong or all the ways, but telling it as we've experienced it for ourselves, that we have seen and heard and witnessed that unconquerable light shines in a perilous darkness, that we have been joined one to another just as the spheres of heaven and earth have in the guest rooms of our houses. And it pronounces again and again, you are not alone. We are here. God is with us. This is a story, the story of this night, whose ending is never in doubt, but that is still taking place in the events of our lives. So we gather here to be reminded to see again the starstruck wonder of it and to take it out that we might make of our lives the miraculous truth that we too can walk alongside one another. We too can open our homes to the inconvenient that knocks at our door. We too can warm the world, weary as it might be, around the truth that God is with us, love has come, and we are never alone. Merry Christmas.